Let's start with the context of current world events. We live in a world of perpetual warfare and crime and corruption. A war ends in one location and it begins in another location. The theater of war rotates, but it never goes away. Protest after protest, we never stop the wars, they continue to go perpetually. It seems that we need a different approach in dealing with the problem of perpetual warfare. How does the Venus Project approach this?
If you really wish to bring an end to war, poverty, hunger, and most crimes, what we have to do eventually through education is declare all of the Earth's resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. That would be number one. If that is attained, then we can do away with all the artificial boundaries that separate people. Before the states had joined together into one nation, there were territorial disputes at all the borders. There were militias. But once the states had joined together, the militias disappeared. There was no need for it. The same process can be applied to all the sovereign nations of the world. To be invited in to a participatory democracy whereby all the resources are shared by all the world's people. I see that as the only means. Transitionally, if you substitute any other system, it will have built-in antagonisms. So this is what we have to strive toward. I don't say this can be accomplished in one swoop. It's a slow process of education. We hope to make a motion picture depicting these changes and showing people what the advantages would be to each individual throughout the world of a resource-based economy.
Why do you propose such a radical change?
Well, I would like to see an end to war, poverty, unnecessary human suffering. And I can't see it within a monetary-based system where the richest nations control most of the world's resources. I cannot see that happening. I see constant repeat of the same series of events: war, poverty, recession, again, boom, bust, and war again. I see no end to that cycle of events unless we declare the earth as common heritage.
I hear discussions of a new paradigm in economic systems. And you're proposing such a change in a resource-based economy. What is a resource-based economy? And how does that compare with a monetary-based economy?
In a monetary-based economy, we use money as a medium of exchange. Now, money doesn't represent our capacity to produce. It just represents a method designed hundreds of years ago and established within the system. In the monetary-based system, it's wealth, property, and power. And that's the main directive. Now, today we say, how much will it cost? That is really the question. The real question is, do we have the resources to build that kind of project? Yes, we do. Do we have the money? No, we don't. We don't have enough money to wipe out the slums and build housing all over America and schools. Even if you taxed everybody, doubled it, we don't have enough money. But we have more than enough resources available to build anything we want to build. If you have difficulty with that, consider this. Suppose all the money in the world disappeared tomorrow morning. As long as there are farms, water, building material, we can build anything we want to build. It isn't money that people need. It's access to resources. In other words, it was necessary 100 years ago to use a monetary system for the distribution of products. Today, we have the technology to make those things available. What are we chiseling off each other for?
Exactly what is a resource-based economy?
A resource-based economic system does not use money, barter, trade, or any of the older systems that were prevalent. It's based on designing a culture that fits in with the carrying capacity of the world's resources. Anything else other than that will not work. It's like sending people to the moon without water and without food, operating on the assumption that the moon will provide. It has to be based, all science and technology must be based upon resources. And without resources, whatever planning you do, if you don't have the resources, is invalidated. So the resources must coincide with the industrial potential.
How does the resource-oriented economic system, which the Venus Project promotes, how does that offer a different approach to our society?
It would change the basic outlook of people. There would be no such thing as unemployment, no such thing as war, no police, no prisons, no banks, no money, but people would have access to new housing, education, health care, and all of the things we don't have access today without putting out a great deal of money.
So when you say no money, no banks, you mean that there will be no debt, no credit, no barter, no form of monetary exchange
by any individual or group. And no inventions would be owned by corporations. They'd be in the public domain. So you can't make money on new cancer treatment. You can't make money on anything that should be in the public domain. And we think everything should be in the public domain.
So I see how that relates to the effectiveness in reducing the emissions that are destroying the ozone layer. There's no profit motive, so there's no reason to continue that behavior. I can see how it would reduce the destruction of our rainforests because there's no profit motive. There's no reason to destroy the rainforest. We have no restraints from finding alternatives that don't damage the ecosystem. Recycling, huge problem with waste, non-recyclable waste. Without the profit motive, we have no reason not to develop eco-friendly products.
Yes, this is so.
The decadence, the moral decay of the pool of people that we choose our political leaders from.
We don't choose them. Mostly the establishment does the choosing.
So we would eliminate, we would step away from the constraints of capitalism in a resource-based economy.
Yes. Nothing less will do. There's no compromise middle way. Until you have common heritage, you're going to have all the same kind of problems, more or less. So modified or enlightened capitalism will reduce the problems only minimally.
So in a resource-based economic system, you're saying that territorial strife would be diminished.
Gone. There's no basis for it. And to protect your property, you have military and police. Since you don't own anything in the future, you live in your ideal house, you drive very well-designed cars, and when you get out of that car, it goes to service automatically, it's maintained. You don't want to own anything. What you really want is access to things when you want it without waiting in line. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making things available to people. You don't want to own your golf clubs. You want them there when you want them. When you go to the golf course, you want to be able to select whatever clubs you like, whatever you like to work with. That's what you really want. When you go down to the yacht basin, you want to get in a cabin cruiser, go out with your family. You don't want to fill out any forms and somebody tell you, hey, there's 50 people before you. We'll turn out more than enough so that you can always go down and there's always a car out there for your use.